Today in the episode, Building 101. Let's talk about structural parts. Voice of the Wasteland, where we read your messages and choose the craft of the episode. And we begin with Workshop. Explosions out of nowhere. The experimental gun of the Nomads. What do enemies feel when they see your car? Are they afraid? Maybe they're overcome with envy? Or maybe they feel nothing because they don't see you until it's way too late. Hopefully it's the latter, because this time we're taking a look at the Stillwind. A child born in the marriage of a gigantic cannon to a quick-firing machine gun, this weapon inherited both strengths and weaknesses of both its parents. For instance, the Stillwind is pretty big. Here's how it looks when you mount it on the starter vehicle. Massive, right? At the same time, you can do quite a lot of damage with a build that's equipped with just a single Stillwind. So there's that. It won't be easy, but it can be done. On the other hand, the gun doesn't have a lot of durability, especially for a legendary. To use it effectively, you have to be good at both building and driving. Being able to reliably escape from face-to-face engagements or to avoid them altogether is key to your survival. Also, be wary of scorpions. Bloody snipers are everywhere. At the same time, the Stillwind lucked out in the firepower department, inheriting a really nice set of features from its parents. It's very accurate and deals AoE explosive damage. Obviously, your explosions won't be as big as when using really big guns, but with the right build, the weapon can bring a world of pain to enemies on the other side of the map. Oh, was that something you needed on your car? It's gone, mate. Here's the best bit, though. The metaphorical icing on this post-apocalyptic cake, so to speak, is the Stillwind's unique ability to shoot while you're cloaked. It still breaks the invisibility, of course, but there's a considerable delay. Sounds amazing, right? All the crazy, stealthy shenanigans you can have with this thing. Well, yeah, but as it often is with things in the wastes, there's a catch. First of all, survivors, even lunatics, aren't dumb, and nothing escapes the eye of an experienced player. It's pretty easy to see where the shots are coming from, and you don't really have to see the car itself to return fire. Second, there are lots of ways in the valley to break cloaking before you can even get to shooting. That's why most Stillwind users treat the perk as more of a bonus, and not the cornerstone of their strategy, and rely on pure overwhelming firepower instead. Cunning maneuvers can fail, but you can never go wrong with having more DACA, can you? In the end, most engineers take 3 Stillwinds and win their fights with surprise burst damage out of nowhere. But be careful, the Stillwind is a tricky gun to use at high power scores. The price of a mistake is way too high there. Picked a suboptimal route around the battlefield? Maybe made a wrong call when choosing a priority target? Well, that's probably GG. It's a completely different story if you're aiming for matches that are somewhere in the middle, though. Here, you can make full use of the gun's ability to deal surprise explosive damage at mid to long ranges, and win battles with speed and style. Are you ready to become a spirit of vengeance that strikes from the shadows? Well, Nomads are looking forward to hearing all about your new feats and adventures. And now, a short commercial break.
A public message by cartographers of the valley. Please stop blowing up the roadblock near the eastern array. Or stop rebuilding the damn thing. Choose one.
Scientifically speaking, there's a shitload of different structural parts in the wastes. Some are big, some are tiny, some are sturdy, and some are so flimsy that they can literally be shot through by the enemy. If you're new around these parts, let's try to make sense of this mountain of metal junk and see what structural parts can work with your build. The first thing you should do is ask yourself the biggest engineering question of them all. What end result am I aiming for with this clunker of a car? It's one thing if you're going for a cool art build. Then it's just the simple task of choosing parts that fit the concept the most, as simple as that. It's much trickier if you want to maximize your combat efficiency. In this scenario, getting all nitty-gritty with different parts is unavoidable. For example, remember those fragile parts that can be shot through? They're actually the most popular ones. Most builds use them in this way or another. As grills absorb only a fraction of the damage, they're pretty hard to destroy, so it makes sense to mount your guns and critical modules on them. A weapon on a grill is a Valley classic. Lunatic parts are also very popular. The reason is pretty simple. They make for an excellent shield against large caliber weapons. It doesn't matter if a part has low durability if it's going to be destroyed in a single hit anyway. It's cheap and it gets in the way of enemy projectiles, making it really effective as a kind of makeshift spaced armor. Need to cover your hull with a few big parts? Go to scavengers. They have lots of large ones, scavenged from trains and shipping containers. Great choice if you're forced to use as few parts as possible. Looking for parts that can take a lot of punishment? Check what Steppenwolfs have in stock. They're the main supplier of armor plates and sturdy military-grade components. Just what you need when you don't care about the weight but have very little room. We also simply have to mention a special category of parts that play a key role in keeping many survivors alive: bumpers and passive melee weapons. They make for really convenient armor pieces, and some of them are highly resistant to melee damage. They also look really badass. Just look at this train plow, it's great! Then as you start building, it's time for the second important question that can help you to narrow the list of parts down. What do I need right now to solve this particular problem? Let's show this on a build. For example, you have a standard pickup truck with an ammo crate behind the cab. Ammo's known to be rather explosive, so it's a good idea to cover it with sturdy parts. As our car is still bare bones, we don't have to think about weight. We got lots of it. Knowing that, we can confidently protect the ammo pack with hard modules and bartisans. Then we add a gun and immediately drive out of the garage to test our armor arrangement. As you probably know, there's always a copy of your vehicle waiting for you in front of your garage. Use it. Test everything. On the other side of the spectrum, an example with a speedy buggy build. It can barely support the weight that's already there, but then we add a fuel tank. Obviously, we can't leave it as is. It has to be protected. We check the weight and other features of available parts, see if they can fit the build or not. In the end, we decide to go with a whaleback and a devilry. We can afford this much weight, and they do the job. Obviously, it's not uncommon to go into battle on a newly built vehicle just to find out that the design that you worked on for hours on end is not working as intended. Maybe some parts don't perform that well. Maybe some decisions backfired. That's when it's time for the third big question of a Wasteland mechanic. Can this design be improved? Almost always, the answer is yes. When we ask our resident mechanic, though, he says something else for some reason. Something along the lines of, "Stop bothering me, let me work in peace." But that surely means, when it comes to building, the sky's the limit. Experiment with the parts that are available to you, remember about the things that make them unique, listen to other survivors, and you shall prevail. The first message was sent by Cabomins de Chilcrot. Will we get some separate wheels for motorcycles in the game? Or a new small and fast cabin for motorcycles? Hi, can't really promise you a dedicated motorcycle cabin, but there's a special motorcycle wheel in the works. Keep your eyes peeled. Elwood Jarvis writes, I wonder if there will ever be the chance of a new module that acts as the base of what is essentially a custom mega turret, where the turret mount itself is a half peg up, so that the build mode can distinguish between car parts and turret parts. Honestly, not likely, but that made us think about special protective covers that can be set in front of your guns, and that's kind of doable. We'll see. Then there's this question sent by The Northern Loser.
Is there by any chance some potential adjustments planned for the ghost cabin? I barely see anyone using that cabin in matches.
Hi mate, yeah, but nothing drastic for now. We're planning to update the model and add more attachment points to it. Also, you're a winner in our eyes. Killdozer04 says,
I'm the creator of the Hunt of the Pack diorama that you shared on Facebook, so I really love models. Is it likely that we will ever get some small figure models to collect in real life? Some of the main characters, for example? Or even some die-cast models? That would be epic.
Oh man, that'd be so damn cool. honestly. But we have limited resources, and at the end of the day, we're a game developing company, and that's where our area of expertise is. Making real-life models and selling them is a completely different kind of business, and we'd be completely clueless as to where we should even start with something like that. Maybe one day. And here's the segment of the show where we pick one craft from the exhibition, a vehicle that the team really liked. Today, the car we have on display is Volley, made by Absolute Robin. Take notice of the way its guns are placed. If you're careful with your positioning, enemies will have a tough time trying to locate your cab from a distance, which is excellent because we're planning to stay miles away from them anyways. Just be careful. For some reason, this car really doesn't like concrete blocks. Probably a phobia or something. It's a very neat build anyway. Thank you for your work. That's it for today. Tell us what you think in the comments below, ask us questions, and if we somehow stop having fun with concrete blocks, we'll return with some new crazy content in a couple of weeks. If you like what we're doing, consider subscribing, leave a like, and good luck!